Story tonight, historic settlement. Michigan State University has agreed to pay a whopping $500 million to hundreds of women and girls who say Larry Nassar sexually assaulted him. The deal was announced today by MSU and lawyers representing 332 victims. The school will pay $425 million right now and put $75 million in reserve in case other victims come forward later. The question is, how is the university going to pay for the substantial settlement? 7 investigator Ross Jones joins us live right now with some of the options that are on the table. Ross.
Carolyn, MSU has never written a check this large. The settlement dwarfs the $109 million paid out by Penn State over the Jerry Sandusky scandals. MSU officials admit they don't know where the $500 million will come from, but there are several options.
There is relief for them. It's part of the process.
The survivors of Larry Nassar are still wounded, but today they received a small measure of accountability from the institution that failed to protect them. MSU agreed to pay Nassar's victims $500 million, a figure that will be divided among more than 300 women and girls. Attorney David Middleman, who represents more than 100 survivors, says how much each receives will depend on a series of factors.
Whether the survivor was a minor at the time of the assault, whether the assault was a touching versus a penetration, then looking at the number of penetrations and length of time the assaults occurred.
For its part, MSU says it doesn't yet know where the money will come from. Last month, interim President John Engler told the State News that tuition shouldn't be affected, but the school wouldn't rule that out today. Other options include dipping into the school's more than $1 billion in reserve funds or borrowing the money. While MSU is insured, it's too early to say how much of the $500 million payout will be covered by insurers.
This will go down as the largest university sexual assault scandal in history, and it should never be repeated.
Now, the settlement resolves the civil cases against Michigan State, but there are still claims against USA Gymnastics, the U.S. Olympic Committee, and others that need to be worked through. Carolyn?
Far from over, but at least MSU settled it pretty quickly, Ross.
Indeed.